Hello and welcome. In this and the next video I will show you how to use your smartphone as a Satnav. To be able to do so, I'm using two apps. The first one is Myrouteapp, and that is where I actually create my routes. On the website you will find all the information you need to get started. Lower left hand corner you find quite a lot more. To actually use your smartphone as a Satnav, you must have Myrouteapp Gold together with the second app, Sygic. This is the website. The Sygic app is the one that you're actually using when navigating. It can also be used on its own. That will be covered in the next video. Down on the left hand side you have a number of circles that you can tap and review, and here you will also be able to find all the information you need. One interesting feature that you can have depending on the version of the app is head-up display, and it looks very much like this in reality. It will also be covered in the next video. The reason for choosing these apps was that I needed a Satnav unit. There are of course the Garmin and TomTom units, but my idea was to be able to use my smartphone as a Satnav, because then I would not need another device, and there is also the cost for a dedicated GPS navigator. What I like about these apps is how I create a route and how the navigating instructions are presented. I was not looking for any spectacular presentation, just how to navigate along the created route. For downloading the apps, just follow the instructions on this website when you register. With all apps available, the smartphone has become a jack of all trades. Personally, I'm using a Samsung S5 Mini. Before logging in, some piece of advice regarding any type of Satnav device. Number 1. If possible, install a suitable memory card and transfer as much information as possible to the memory card. This is also good practice regarding smartphones and other devices. Rumor has it that without a memory card, some navigators will not work properly. Number 2. Make sure that you have downloaded all the necessary maps for your routes, and that you will do in Sygic. This will be evident when you are using the Sygic app, and it will be covered in the next video. Third and last, please remember that Myrouteapp and Sygic are two different apps. This means that they work slightly different, and what I have noticed is that the route I have created in Myrouteapp may not be exactly the same when you actually navigate with Sygic. If there are any shortcuts between two waypoints, Sygic will direct you along this shortcut even if this wasn't visible when creating the route in Myrouteapp. And I will only show you the basic part of how to create a route. When creating a route, I will do it here on this website by logging in and using my PC. All the routes will be stored in the library, which is kept in the cloud, so there will never be any problem to download any routes to my telephone. Let's log in. State email address, password, and tap login. Now I have logged into my account. To create a route, tap routes. And this is my library with all the routes I have created. And when you enter for the first time, the library will of course be empty. And to create a new route, I tap plus new, choose route, and I will give the route a name. I will just call it 01 and a full stop. I want it to be private, and it's going to be driving. Tap OK. As you can see, I have now the map of the world. I have to zoom into where I want to place my first waypoint. I will use the southern part of Sweden. I have now zoomed into where I want to be and where I want to create a route. And from what I know, there's going to be an interesting route to ride. I'm coming along from the northeast on 134. Then I'm going to pass through Kisa, up to northwest, and turn down to the south again, and continue on 134. I zoom in a bit more so that I get a good view of all the major roads and also the smaller routes. I place the hair cross where I want to have my first waypoint, and I work according to the principle that my first waypoint is my start. I come along 1, 3, 4, entering waypoint number 1, and then I just place waypoints so that I create the route. Initially it's a bit of a guesswork where to place the waypoints, but by the time you get to understand the principle. And as you can see, I just have to tap where I want to place the waypoint. Here I realize that waypoint 8 is misplaced. So I tap number 8, delete, and I place waypoint number 8 where I want it to be. And after that I just continue. And now I have created the route. Zooming out a bit, I inspect the route so I can see that it is according to my idea of the route I wanted to create. Initially I had some issues regarding getting strange directions, even though the route seemed to be correct, and at this level it can be difficult to see if all the waypoints are correctly located. By zooming in on the route I realized I had to review all the waypoints from number 1 to 23 in this case. And I can review them by either tapping number 1 and then continue, or on the left hand side you can also tap number 1 up here. Tap 1, tap zoom in, this is as close as you get, and verify that the waypoint is correctly located. Here it is okay, tap the right hand chevron and continue. In this case we can see that waypoint number 4 has been misplaced. When zooming out, it's not so easy to see that it has been misplaced. Now I just grab number 4 and place it where I want it to be. Continue the inspection. Number 5 also mislocated. And continue. Once again, not so easy to see. Place it correctly, wait for update, and continue. Repeat the process until you have inspected the final waypoint. After inspecting the final waypoint, I zoom out. After zooming out, I review the route to see that it is according to my wishes. Before exiting, the last thing I do is once again tap the first waypoint, tap more options, tap go because that is my starting point. Are you sure? Tap OK. Now the route has been calculated in the system and I have confirmed that all the waypoints are correctly located. Going back to my routes, you will find it here. As you saw earlier when I was to create the first route, when I tapped new, there was also the possibility to create a folder. And as you can see here, I have a number of folders. Here I have a folder containing routes regarding the southern part of Norway. Quite a number actually, and it's very convenient to place them in a special folder. One thing to remember is that when you actually are going to use your telephone as a sat-nav, these folders will not be seen, so you will have all your routes that you have created on a long list on your telephone. On top of the list will be the route that you updated latest. So in this case, new route 01 will be at the top of the list. To make it easy, before going on a trip, I always update the routes that I'm going to use, and I update them so that the first route I'm going to use is located at the top of the list. So say that I'm going down to Nürburg. I update it by removing full stop, entering full stop, and update. Now you see that this route is at the top of the list. This makes life easier when you're entering your telephone and you have a long list of all the routes you have created. The next route I will show you is the one here, named Nürburg. I have already created it. Starts in the southern part of Sweden, and the destination is Nürburgring. As I mentioned earlier, it's very important that you have downloaded all the maps you need for your trip. In this case, I must have Sweden, Denmark and Germany. If I haven't downloaded the map for Denmark, this will be a totally white patch. I will not receive any directions from the Sygic app. What I can do in this case, if I want to alter this route, is that I place the hair cross over the route, grab it and drag it to where I want it to be. And now you can see that the route looks different. And in this case, by passing Elsinore, I can say hello to the Prince of Denmark. But I'm not quite pleased with the route. I would like to pass Kolding. Now it's getting better. But I would also like to pass Berlin and visit KaDeWe. So I grab the route, let go, and you see the alteration. If I'm pleased with the route at this level, once again I have to inspect all the waypoints so I know that they are located in the correct position. Start with number 1 because that's where I start. Okay. Here something is not quite right. Zoom out and you see that I have misplaced the second waypoint quite a bit. And this can also be an explanation why people have comments about being misdirected. So relocate the waypoint, zoom out, inspect that you're on the right track. Yes. Zoom in and make sure that the waypoint is correctly located. You can adjust it a bit if you want. That's correct. Go on. Number 5, correctly located. And once again, return to the first waypoint. Tap more options. Tap go. Yes. That's where I want to start. As you can see, the distance is close to 1600 kilometers and it will take me a bit more than 16 hours to ride. Let's say that I would like to stay overnight in Kolding, waypoint number 3, and I would also like to stay overnight in Berlin. Here you can see the various distances from the first waypoint. Between the first and the third waypoint you have 437 kilometers and a bit more between number 3 and 4 and approximately the same between Berlin and Nürburg. As you can see, there is also a toolkit up at the head. With Myrouteapp Gold you have a split function, and that means that I can split the route. And I would like to stay in Kolding and Berlin. Next. Okay. Okay. To see the 3 different routes, I have to return to my library. And here we have them. Nürburg 1, 2 and 3. The first one from Sweden to Denmark. And the second one from Kolding to Berlin. And the third from Berlin to Nürburg. By returning to number 1, you also have the possibility to add routes to this one. So I can add the second and the third route to see if it all adds up. And here you can see that I can't add number 1 because that is already on display. Number 2 is the next in line. Tap that and it will be added. And I shall also add number 3. At the moment it has the same color. Tapping the red square, I can alter the color. Zooming out, alright, return to the library. Return to the first part of the route. Focus on waypoint number 3. Zoom out a bit. As you can see, the third waypoint is located a bit outside of Kolding. But I really don't have to care about that because somewhere around here I can just follow the normal road signs. Return to the library and choose the second part. Once again, focus on Kolding. When you are going to continue a trip like this, and to make it easy for you to find waypoint number 1 for this route, I recommend that you move the first waypoint, in this case a bit further south, because then you have a number of options to go through Kolding and you will be directed from Kolding to the first waypoint. Again, zoom in, make a correction, and you know that in Berlin it's alright. Go back to the first one, more options, go, as this is my starting point. OK. And I do the same for the third part. The starting point is Berlin. Focus. Zoom out a bit. And let's say that I have found a hotel in this region. It means that I would like to have my first waypoint down here. Zoom in and inspect. Yes. And once again, more options, go, and update. Return to library. As you can see, for each route you receive the distance and the duration, and out on the right hand side you also have the possibility to make a copy, alter and delete. And this is the original one. If you're not pleased with these, you can delete them and you still have the original route. And by removing the waypoints 2, 3 and 4, you're back to where you started. You don't save the route. When you return to the library, it is saved as is. The last route I will show you is the one named SmartPhone. This one I will use in the next video to show you what it looks like when actually using the smartphone as a satnav. Here I will make an error and go straight ahead, and that will show you what it looks like when you make a mistake and the system wants to redirect you back to, in this case, waypoint number 4. Let's return to the first route I made. In this case I have only placed 23 waypoints, and as you have 47 waypoints at your disposal for the Sygic system per route, you should be able to cover a good distance even if you are liberal how to spend the waypoints. According to my experience, 47 waypoints will take you approximately 100 kilometers on small unpaved roads. With an average speed of approximately 50 kilometers of this type of road, you will be riding for close to 2 hours. This means that you don't have to stop very often to activate the next route. Some other features that are worth mentioning is that you can create a group of people. They must of course have the same type of apps as you have, and then you can share, say, the folder containing the maps of southern part of Norway, and you will have access to the same routes. It's also worth mentioning that you have a number of maps to choose from. Here you can see what you have. When you have completed your new route, you log out by tapping the head and log out. And that's about it for this video. Thank you for watching, bye for now, and don't get lost.